Today is Tuesday, March 2nd. Welcome to Pastor Blast. I must admit, I hate the dark. I always have. Sleepless nights are made worse by darkness. Gethsemane was a dark place. It brings bad memories, hard memories of Jesus. It is made all harder because Jesus knew what was coming. When we share the gospel in love to non-believers, we share other things. We share his love, his grace, and his mercy. We love verses like, "Come unto me, all you who labor and are heavy burdened, and I will give you rest. And cast your burdens on me, and my grace is sufficient for you." These are true sayings. But Lent is a time for hard sayings. The hardest for me comes from Matthew 16. On the night Jesus was betrayed, then Jesus told his disciples, "If anyone would come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me." What does it look like to take up your cross and follow Jesus? Martyn was a Lutheran pastor, the son of a poor coppersmith. He made his way at the University of Leipzig by hard work and his musical gifts. He was also ordained and served the church in Eisleben. At the age of 31, he was offered his dream job, archdeacon at his hometown of Eilenburg in Saxony. He went there as the 30-year war broke out. Think of the Middle East, add famine and plague. He died just after the peace, and throughout these 31 years, he stood by his flock and shepherded them through every kind of distress. He endured quartering of soldiers in his house and frequent plunderings of his meager stock of grain and household goods. But these were small things. Eilenburg was a walled city. It was filled with refugees seeking protection from the armies plundering the land. Many soldiers were mercenaries, most unpaid, who found it easier to pillage farms and villages than to wait the siege of a castle or fortress. Europe was enduring a mini ice age. Low temperatures and hard winters meant poor harvests and famine. But things got worse. The plague of 1637 visited Saxony, and in this 1 year, 8,000 persons died in Eilenburg. The town council, a terrible number of children, and the 3 other pastors were all carried off. Rinkert's wife among them. Pastor Rinkert tended the sick and the dying. He buried more than 4,000 persons, as many as 50 funerals a day. God never left his flock without a shepherd. Through all Martyn's labors, he remained perfectly well. History records that the famine became so extreme that 30 or 40 persons might be seen fighting in the street for a dead cat or crow. Rinkart gave away everything but the barest rations for his own family, so that his door was surrounded by a crowd of poor, starving wretches who found their only refuge. After all this suffering, the Swedish army returned and imposed upon the unhappy town a tribute of 30,000 florins. Rinkart begged the general for money, and when it was refused, turned to the citizens who followed him, saying, "Come, my children, we can find no hearing, no mercy with men. Let us take refuge with God." He fell on his knees and prayed with such touching earnestness that the general relented and lowered his demand to 2,000 florins. Rinkart's own losses and charities meant he barely found bread and clothes for his children. He even mortgaged years of his future income. In my heart, I do not believe Martyn Rinkart would accept praise for what he did. We have all heard stories of people like Pastor Rinkart. Their words always seem similar. It was not by their strength. Oh, they lifted their cross, but God, through his infinite grace, increased their faith. Faith is strength in God's economy. The faith of a mustard seed can move any mountain. There is no mountain so large that cannot be moved when faith comes to us when we need it. And when we have borne our cross, and when we have tasted his grace, we find something even more amazing. A heart filled with thanksgiving, love, and abundant life. Pastor Rinkart said as much. He, like countless others, would have been forgotten had he not left behind a different legacy. Martyn Rinkart was never viewed as a gifted preacher by his flock, but what a musician. His music came from his heart, and his heart belonged to God. After this terrible experience, he continued to write hymns. Most of us have sung his best-known hymn. Now thank we all our God, with heart and hands and voices, who wondrous things has done, in whom this world rejoices, who from our mother's arms has blessed us on our way, with countless gifts of love, and still is ours today. If any man would come after me, let him take up his cross and follow me. Lord, give me the strength to take it up. Amen.